Hi, my name is Robert. Please read the comments in the About section of this video. It has valuable information and updates. My YouTube channel has a disclaimer video that I encourage you to watch. And please like, share, and subscribe. I hope you found what you're looking for. Thank you very much for watching. Starting out today doing some reconnaissance here at the junkyard. Pick up a couple of minor things and probably show you the things that I got the other day at the half price day. Was having problems with my phone dying and stuff like that. Didn't get to record like I wanted to. Wow, this is a rare one. Almost never see the on deck lot empty. There's no cars prepared to be set out tomorrow. Hope that's not a bad sign of things to come. One of the stops I made the other day was out here to the 740 Turbo. I learned some disturbing information, disturbing to me, about the transmission coolers in vehicles that I was not aware of. So I have a transmission cooler for my car that I'm going to install, but I'm kind of on a mild mission to get other coolers, transmission coolers for other vehicles. So I pulled this cooler out of this car, not sure if it was a transmission or power steering or what. It looks like a transmission cooler possibly, and I'm going to do a transmission cooler install and show you the difference between the temperatures. But for some reason I forgot to take this with me yesterday after I pulled it, or the other day, so I'll take it with me now. Because this vehicle's turbo, back when they cared, they actually put a oil cooler on it as well. So I'll probably come get this oil cooler before too long and purchase both of them. Once it's flushed, it could also be used as a transmission cooler, and it seems a lot larger than the other one. This vehicle still has the turbo on it, which is not real common, so somebody could probably come get that stuff if they want to convert their vehicle to being one that has a turbo on it. I came to this 2000 V70R and I got the headlight lens out of it so that I can install it on the green machine that I recently got. I also took the rest of the useful R bits off of it and purchased them and took them to my storage. I also came to this, I believe it was a 2001 V70 Cross Country, and helped them get the engine out of this vehicle, and I took the turbo off of it, and that's what I did some of my turbo videos on. So as you can see, the exhaust manifold is still there with the exhaust flange, and it's a angled exhaust flange, and this is the hole from which the engine was taken. It had a front engine collision damage. I pulled the sunroof out of this Volvo 960, the entire assembly. It wasn't in as good a shape as the one I pulled out of that wagon the other day, but at any rate, I couldn't get it out because I couldn't get the seats out, so I had to knock the back window out and get it out that way. My local mechanic needed a silver hood off of a Volvo V or S40, so I took a hood to him. I came by this red 98 V70 all-wheel drive that's been here for a while, and I took this window. I tried to get the one out of the V70R for my car for the antenna purposes, and right when I was about 60% done with it, I made a mistake and bumped the plug-in for the window antenna and broke it. So I ended up leaving that because it was useless for me. But I did get this one out successfully. I came over to this 96 850 and found the engine laying out on the ground. So I pulled the turbo off of it, and when I pulled the timing parts off, I realized that they had obviously been through a belt cycle because the timing belt has cracks on it. So I did not take any of the timing belt parts, even though they seemed to be in pretty good shape. Actually, I did. I took the tensioner roller because that's the part that normally lasts the longest. And I did a little video about the internal parts on the bottom of the engine since the oil pan has been removed by somebody. I went down to the last row, and there's an 850 there. I took the transmission control switch out of it because someone needed it, and I thought it was a 94 vehicle, but it ended up being a 95 vehicle. Now, in preparation for the sale, I had removed several parts from a few different cars, a cluster for my 740, a lot of stuff off of that HOWR car, and a few other things, and I stashed them around the junkyard so that when they had a big sale date like this half-off date, I could just simply go to that vehicle, grab those parts, and get out of here pretty quick without doing too much work. So that worked out really good. Now, Buster Brown had some parts set aside as well, and one of them was a rear latch for a V70 of his. He's got 3 or 4 latches for it, so I took that too and bought it. He's taking stuff from me and bought it, so I didn't care. And I got a lot of good stuff like that, so I made out pretty good on that sale date. Probably spent a little more money than I should have, but nonetheless, it's a good thing to get those good used parts that you need when they're having a sale. So here's a 96 850 that has a rear latch still in it that apparently works fine. So I'm going to pull it, throw it under that vehicle for Buster Brown to get. If he wants it, he can. If not, it don't matter. He's got plenty of them, and he's got an electrical problem with that latch, but he keeps replacing latches in it thinking that's going to fix it. All of those latches ain't bad, Buster Brown. You got an electrical problem you need to sort out. So there's a cluster. I got some sun visors. Some of the bits to that are like this chrome piece here. If I can grab that without damaging it, for you to see that. And the door panels and some other stuff. So that was my harvest. Pretty nice one. I have this 13T CHRA that's in good shape. Hadn't been rebuilt, but it doesn't have hardly any play in it. Same goes with this 15G wheel. But I'm going to take this 15G CHRA apart for a rebuild example and go ahead and rebuild it so you can see how this goes. From what I understand, the turbine wheel is connected to the shaft, and this wheel is balanced in the way that it's currently located. I showed you that it has a couple of notches there out of the compressor wheel, and that's how they balance it. They file that down, and it fits in this CHRA housing properly. So if you pull this apart, you have to put it back together in the same orientation. So you have to figure out some kind of way to keep this right. So we got a flat spot on the turbine wheel. One spot is flatter than the other. As you can see, there's a big flat spot there and a small flat spot there. But you want to put a tool on the back of that will hold it in place. That looks like an E tool. Then you want to come to the front of the turbine wheel. So I got that currently at 12 o'clock. When I come to the front of the turbine wheel, that notch at 12 o'clock, the next smaller one is towards 1 o'clock. That is pretty much straight up aligned with that flat spot. So when I take this apart, I need to put this nut back on and torque it down so that this turbine blade is in this same orientation that it's coming off. There may be a way to make sure it's perfect, but that's what I'm seeing so far. I'm going to remove that nut, holding this in place, and this compressor wheel should come off. I put something on the back of the turbine to hold it. I believe it's a E tool. I'll confirm that later, but I do have a vice grip on there. I'll make a note of it in the comment section. This nut on the front is 8mm, but you do need to know this is reverse threaded. So you go clockwise to take it off from the front. Let me go ahead and take this off. Alright, I got it broke loose, and this has a certain torque on it, so you don't want to mess it up when you're putting it back together. Bolts off, slide the compressor blade off, and now you have a snap ring in there and some more parts to the turbo. So let me get my snap ring pliers, remove that snap ring, and go from there. Pulled my snap ring off of there. Let me see if this thing will come apart now. See what's next. Next, I gotta pull this part of the turbo out over this shaft. So let me get that with both hands and get that out of there. I grabbed that with my fingernail. I got it started, pulled it out, and that's what the inside of that looks like. And it fits inside of that thing right there. So let me go ahead and continue to pull this thing apart. Next, I pulled that looks like a retainer or a stabilizer off. Let me get it the rest of the way out of the turbo. So that was the next thing to come off. Next, I'm going to pull that center disc off, which looks like it may be the bearing. It's sliding down the shaft. Let me put my hands on it and pull it off. I tilted it over, and that thing fell out the centerpiece from right there. Next, I gently tapped on the end of the shaft, and the rest of the assembly came out through the back. So here is the back side of the turbo with the little, I guess that's the bearing and stuff like that on it. So I'm going to set these parts back on here in the order that they came off. I'm going to order and get a rebuild kit and then rebuild this turbo. So here's the CHRA with the compressor wheel off, the turbine wheel off, and all the parts out of it. So I got to see what else needs to be rebuilt on it. It may just need to be thoroughly cleaned. So there you have it. The turbo is taken apart. I see a rubber seal there that I'm sure needs to be replaced. A rubber seal out here that I'm sure needs to be replaced. And I'd imagine the rest of the parts go on the turbine compressor assembly. If you feel that this information was useful, please like it and share it with your social media friends. You can subscribe to my channel so that you will get notifications of future videos that I post. You can follow me on Twitter, and if you need to contact me directly, please visit my website. And if you have any questions, leave them below, and someone or myself will reply to them. Again, thank you very much for watching.